And the last question I have to you about stocks in general is you said something about mobile technology being a big one, and we've seen a lot of IPOs this year in terms of the Twitters coming out and the Facebooks and everything else, and we've seen like a lot of hype, like you said, and then we've seen huge drops once the hype goes away and a reclimb back to past the IPO price. So is there a strategy with IPOs that you recommend people kind of trying to get in over this hype? Like, should they wait? Should they get in later? Should they let it drop?
Yeah, stay away from IPOs entirely, because there's too much just hype and commotion, and you don't really know how it's going to pan out. Twitter and Facebook, for that matter, the best times to buy were the breakouts. I really love buying breakouts. When a stock breaks previous highs that people didn't think were possible before, like Facebook. Basically opened in the 40s, went straight down to like the 20s. And yeah, you could have bought in the 20s, and now at 56 or 60, it's great. But it's much less risk if you wait to buy the breakout back when it's at the 40s. I know you want to buy cheaper at lower prices, but there's so much more risk. The same thing with Twitter. It came out in the 40, went to like 50, came back down to the 40. Then when it broke out past 50, that was the time to really buy it, and it went to the 60s pretty quickly. So, as a human, as a greedy human, if you're Jewish, you want to buy at the lowest price possible, but you also have to think about what is the risk and what is the probability. So I really, really hate buying IPOs at first, because you don't know where the breakout is. There's no, former high. It's just every single minute, every single hour is price action. I really like buying stocks that, have come down, and then maybe they have some good news that creates a breakout. Because breakouts are a beautiful thing. They sometimes last for a few days, if not weeks or even months, if the catalysts are there. When Facebook had good earnings, focus on buying good earnings. When a company spikes 10, 20, 30% after good earnings, that could be an indicator that it's going to run up even more, because companies are theoretically based on earnings. So if you have one good quarterly earnings report, theoretically your next quarterly earnings report is going to be good too. So go with the probabilities, go with the trends. Don't try outliers. Some people, they're like, haha, Tim, I bought Facebook at 22. You told me not to buy on the dip. Don't use like one trade as an example for rule, because if you buy companies like Facebook on the dip, probably 6 or 7 or maybe even 8 times out of 10, you will lose. If you buy on the breakouts 6, 7, or 8 times out of 10, you will win. So you have to kind of back test and think about what is the lowest risk, what has the most probability. And I know that's confusing for a lot of people who don't know the stock market, but that's why I teach.
Do you feel like there is enough potential in large companies like Google left? I mean, is there really like that breakout still with like $100, $200 over what it's selling for today, like it used to, or is that pretty much done now in the small companies?
I would never trade, Twitter 60s or Google in the thousands or Priceline or Chipotle. It's just not worth my time. I know there's some rich people out there, and they love like buying 1,000 shares at 463 and then flipping it at 480. Like, I made 17 grand. Yeah, you also fucking bet nearly $500,000. For people who with small accounts, if you focus on penny stocks, the volatility is there. You can grow your account so much quicker. But if you have like over like $5 million, ignore penny stocks and this entire conversation.
Very, very cool. And so what tips do you have for entrepreneurs watching this? Not necessarily traders, but people who are in business that are fairly young. Anything you've learned along the way that you can pass on?
Yeah, don't underestimate the internet. When I first started teaching, I thought that I was going to do well with my book. I thought I was going to do well with seminars. What really worked with teaching over the internet and using social media to really get the word out there. Because once, I create a millionaire, okay, if I create a millionaire in the real world and he tells a few of his friends, maybe it makes like the local paper. On the internet, I have thousands of people already watching me, a lot of them not believing me. And then when I create these millionaire students in their face, they can't help but go to social media and talk about it with their friends. And everything has spread. My CNN story has been shared over 5,200 times now. It is, quote, gone viral. My first thing ever to go viral. And it's been a beautiful, beautiful mitzvah in the past few weeks for me. So really use the internet. Understand that the internet is so new. I mean, it's just a teenager. What are we? We're 19 years old as an internet, maybe 20 years. So it's not even legal to drink yet. So it's got a long life ahead of itself. And I really think that the upcoming applications and technology and just ways to market your real world business or your expertise, or be an affiliate if you have no skill on your own and you just want to market somebody else. There's so much opportunity on the internet, and in the coming years, I think we're going to see that really explode. So don't listen to real world people who have no idea about social media and think that Facebook is going to lose 80% of their users by what was it, by 2020 or something. Focus on the now. Facebook is making fucking hundreds of millions per year. That's where the money is. Don't worry about where the world is going to be 10, 20 years from now. We'll probably blow up in a nuclear explosion anyways. So focus on the now.